Hi, I'm Will, and this is the 31 Days of Lifetime, a sort of advent calendar for even more vloggers. I've made it my mission to watch every single offering in Lifetime's 2020 holiday catalog, but I won't be doing it alone. Each day, I'll be joined by a special guest or guests who will help me dig into these instant Christmas classics. Today, I am joined by the love of my lifetime, Kelly Figley.
Hi, Merry Christmas, Will.
Merry Christmas, Kelly. We are going to be discussing the 9th film in Lifetime's lineup, A Very Charming Christmas Town. City girl and travel and lifestyle blogger Aubrey Lang goes to the little town of Solvang for her next holiday vlog piece after it's voted most Christmassy town in the USA. She soon meets Sawyer Larson, a local community coordinator and chocolate shop owner assigned to show her around the small town. At first, the unlikely pairing is at odds, but soon start to fall for each other amidst the twinkling lights of the romantic little Danish village. A Very Charming Christmas Town premiered on November 8th and stars Natalie Hall and John Prescott. Kelly, what is your relationship with Lifetime movies?
My relationship with Lifetime movies is non-existent. I've only watched The Christmas Prince, which I realized today was actually Netflix and not Lifetime. So that means I've watched 0 Lifetime Christmas movies before today, before I watched this one.
Yeah, that seems to be the consensus, is a lot of people watching those Netflix movies, which are about the same caliber, just with bigger names.
This felt very similar to it, which is why I had to double check if that was a Lifetime movie.
What did you think of our 2 leads? That's always the crux of these movies.
I thought that they were good. My expectations were very low, so
fair.
Because I have not watched a Lifetime movie, like I said. So they definitely exceeded my expectations. I do feel like at times the female lead was focusing more on being cute than good acting. They're just focusing on making cute expressions and being charming and adorkable and all that jazz, rather than, heavy duty acting.
Yeah, what in this script was there to heavy duty act about?
But no, there were good moments for each and bad moments for each, I thought. So.
What did you think of their chemistry?
Fine. They really got me with the amount of kiss fake outs. I think there were 3, and I'm not gonna lie, I got invested. I was like, I want these 2 to just kiss already. I think that bodes well for their chemistry, that I really was here for it. And going in, I was like, I don't really find him that attractive. He seems a little on the older side and just covered in makeup. But I mean, I didn't really have any complaints on that end by the end of it, So not bad.
I have to give it to this movie. This is my 9th. I was impressed with the fact that by the end, she chose the guy and also her dream job.
Does that not always happen?
No, usually they choose the guy and they're like, I gave up my dream job for this guy and Christmas.
Oh.
And I'm like, baby, it's January in 6 days.
No, yeah. I enjoyed how there were moments where she was like, I apologize for the way I acted. And there was actually kind of like a reckoning with that wasn't cool and we're going to address it. I wish there was more I'm always here for a hate to love, enemies to, lovers, romance. So I wish there was a little bit more balance in that aspect of a, Pride and Prejudice meeting in the middle type thing. But I did appreciate that they had her kind of realize oh no, I was being extremely rude. And so I'm gonna...
A lot of these movies, it tends to be the vibe of they have bad chemistry and they're supposed to be immediately in love and lovey-dovey from the start. Whereas this one, it felt like the opposite problem of they have good chemistry, but they're supposed to really not like each other.
Yeah. So she was hating him from the beginning, and I was like, once you get over the almost run over by your car thing, you have no reason to dislike him.
Yeah.
So that's another issue with the if you're gonna do we don't get along and then we fall in love, there has to be credible reasons to not get along.
Right.
And there really weren't on his end, so that was a little bit of a struggle. That is also a testament to their chemistry, maybe just bad
writing. The arc of these movies is never like gradual ever. It's always like, I hate him, or we don't get along, or I don't believe in Christmas. And then there's one scene where like not even a big moment happens. They're just like, you know what? Yeah, I was wrong. But I mean, in this one, it was just kind of like nothing really changed.
Yeah.
Until she talked to his magical fairy godmother. Estelle? Yeah. Yeah, supporting cast.
That's literally how they described her. They were like, oh, she's so fun. Isn't she great? She's so great.
It felt racist that it was all these white people in this like little Dutch village who were like, oh, the one black person who lives here is so kooky.
Isn't she so fun?
And I'm like, ugh. Okay. Like, I don't like this. I think it was nice, for a movie about a small town. We had 2 this weekend. Jenna Kirkeeng and I talked about another small town Christmas movie. I thought both of those movies did a good job of emphasizing the supporting cast, which I think is important in a movie about a small town. These characters weren't like great, but I also felt like I knew more about them than most of these friend characters. Like the friend character had like an arc outside of a man. That's the biggest compliment I have for this movie, is they gave like both female characters arcs outside of men. And I don't know if it fully did, but at least almost, this movie almost passed the Bechdel test, right? They talked about her dad dying, but like a lot of that scene was talking about her career.
Yeah, I don't know if that counts, because it was like a section about career songwriting, but then it morphed into being about
that scene was really long, so maybe better than most of these movies.
That's a great point, that it was centered around, maybe not centered around, but also dealt with their careers. And a big part of the main character's stuff was not about him, but it was mostly about like, which career path do I want to do my passion or this other thing, and him kind of helping her along that was nice. Yeah.
And it was nice too, because it wasn't just him who helped her with that. That's so refreshing. So many of these end with, I can either break up with him or I can quit this big job in the city.
Yeah.
And then they always quit their big job in the city.
Estelle pointed out, she was like, you can write songs from anywhere. And I was like, yes, you can. You can.
Estelle was the Santa Claus of this movie. The ADR in this movie was insane.
Why? We're indoors. Why did they have to?
Every scene, it was like, oh shit. Like, I wonder, like, what happened?
As much as I would love that, I should probably wait for my tour guide. He's gonna show me around, so I should wait till he gets here to order.
Your tour guide.
The mom, especially his mom, it felt like every single one of her lines was ADR, and I'm like, I don't understand what happened.
Like, this is kind of mean, but I wonder if like she just had so much plastic surgery that like she can't. Just like really weird faces to actually form the words. The biggest thing with this ADR in this movie is that it's not mixed well, so that it's just like a definite volume difference.
It sounds like a podcast. Yeah, it was awful. That was a standout moment for me. And speaking of standout moments, Kelly, what scene did you pick for us to truly dissect?
It's the one where Laurel is making the nativity costumes and Aubrey comes in and they start talking about blogging and boys.
Naturally. What made you choose this scene?
I just thought all of it was so funny. Like Aubrey comes in, she's like, I meant to ask, but like, where are your hand towels? And I'm just like, what an odd thing. Are your hands currently wet? Then for the second time, Laurel requests the help of one of her guests to help with like a task that she has to do.
Their bed and breakfast felt like a friend's house the whole time. There was also the part where she was like, I think I'm gonna stay a little longer. And she was like, okay. And I'm like...
They did mention earlier that like they had not booked that room for a while.
Oh.
But so then she comes in and like Aubrey sits down. Doesn't mind that she has to wait to get this hand towel. So she sits down and she was like, what are you doing? And Laurel's like, oh, the nativity's tomorrow, so I'm making these costumes now. That is a blank piece of fabric. You're not gonna get done in time. How many angel costumes do you have to make? So then Aubrey sits down and I wrote down this line because I couldn't handle it. She says, you sing and you sew, very impressive. And then Laurel says, not as impressive as vlogging and songwriting. And I'm glad that she added in the songwriting.
But you know who does all of those things?
No.
Jake Paul. And if that's not a testament to it being truly talented, I don't know what is.
The scene goes on and she helps hold this fabric so that she can cut it or do whatever she's doing to it. They start talking about boys and we find out that Aubrey has been engaged before. And I really liked this scene. I felt like it was very honest and sweet, and I don't know, it wasn't terribly cheesy. It was nice.
This is my last little note about weird moments. We talked about ADR. So small, but something that stuck out to me. When they met Estelle, they go in her shop, he gives her a hug. Nothing in these movies ever has brands, ever. There was a box of ring pops behind them. It was so bizarre. I would love to know if Ring Pops paid to be in this movie.
I want to know if this whole thing is an ad for this town, because did you know that this town is real?
Is it real? Did they film there?
It's real, and they filmed there. Yeah.
Well, look at that. They filmed in California. Canada Watch.
I also did look up if it is like the most Christmassy town, and guess what? It's not. The one list I looked at was Country Living, and they ranked it as the 27th most Christmassy town.
They should change that title. The 27th most Christmassy town would be a lot more eye-catching on TV Guide than a very charming Christmas town.
Listen, this was great escapism.
Oh, they're fantastic.
But there's like, part of me like has like a secret separate dream of like moving to a small town. Like, come on, moving to a small town and just being like a cozy little tight-knit community where like everyone knows each other and you just like work in a bookshop or a chocolate shop or something. So it was definitely fulfilling that little fantasy of mine, and it was great.
I think watching all of these, I'm like, do I need to go back to Chicago? Is that where I'm meant to be, or should I be somewhere in Canada? Snuggled up with a man who almost hit me with his car. So before we wrap up, I have two questions I always ask. Question one, John Prescott as Sawyer. On a scale of 1 to 10, how dateable is he? A man we've barely talked about.
On a scale of 1 to 10? Honestly, I'd say 8, maybe 8.5 to 9.
Wow, this is a nice weekend. These past three movies, you guys have been given nice scores.
They didn't give him any flaws.
Some people say that that's creepy, but no, I thought it was likable. He's not really my type. He looked really plasticky, and his hair kind of looked like a wig.
I didn't think he was that attractive at first, but by the end of it, I was on board. I guess my only flaw is like, I don't know, maybe he spends too much time with his family, but then I'm like, that's not a flaw. I did wonder how this relationship would go if they ever left the town and host Christmas, but he seems dateable.
Forever. It's a Lifetime movie. They would last forever.
For a lifetime.
Question 2. Who would you say is the MVP of this movie?
I think the MVP is the dad. I really enjoyed his performance. He was just very chill the whole time. Didn't he feel the need to overact?
Yeah, he was. There was a scene where he leaned in to kiss the mom, and then they cut away and it was a kiss on the cheek, but the first cut was clearly not a kiss on the cheek. That was like weird censoring.
Yeah, his performance was very understated, and I liked it. He was just like, yeah, I'm just here today. I'm gonna say these lines. I'm gonna go home.
I like people in these movies who are just over it. Kelly, where can people find you? I'm just
Kelly.Figley on Instagram. I'm Kelly_Figley on Twitter.
I'll slap those up on the screen.
Cool.
Boom, boom. Great. Thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you for watching. I'll be back tomorrow to talk about Christmas on the Vine with Sarah Kamichik. And every day this month to get into another Christmas flick. If you had a holly jolly time watching this video, you can go ahead and hit that like button. And if you want to follow me into my descent into Lifetime madness, you can subscribe and press that little bell icon, because every time a bell rings, you'll get notified about a new video that I post. I'll see you next time. Merry Christmas.